Let's see how to set up a Django development environment on Windows. Let's start by downloading and installing Python to our computer. So we go to python.org, and here I'll click on Downloads, and we scroll down a bit, and here I'll choose the most recent available version. In my case, it's version 3.12.2, so let's download it. And at the bottom of this page, we should be able to locate the Windows installer for 64-bit. Let's download it. And the Python installer was downloaded. Let's click on it to install Python. And here, make sure that you check the second box, the one that says Add Python to Path. And also, if you have admin privileges to the computer, choose the first box, use admin privileges when installing Python. And let's install now. Okay, Python was installed. Let's close the installer. And now let's move on to installing Visual Studio Code. So let's go to code.visualstudio.com. And here I'll click on Download. And I'll choose the system installer for 64-bit. And the installer was downloaded. Let's click on it to start the installation of Visual Studio Code. And it was installed. Let's now start Visual Studio Code. Here, let's click on File and Open Folder. And I'll create a new folder in which we will create our Django project. So in the C drive, I'll create a folder to which I'll call Python Workspace. And in my Python Workspace, I'll create another folder to which I'll call Django Example. And let's select this folder to open it in Visual Studio Code. And now we need to open the built-in terminal. So let's click on Terminal and New Terminal. We're going to use a virtual environment. And using a virtual environment in Python requires running a script. Now, scripts can be run in PowerShell, but it requires changing the default behavior of PowerShell. So to avoid changing this default behavior, I'm just going to use the command prompt instead of PowerShell. So I'll click here on the little arrow and choose command prompt. If we run here python -- version, we can see the version of Python we just installed. To create a virtual environment in this folder, we're going to run python -m venv. And then we need to give a name to our new virtual environment. I'll call it djenv for Django env. And we can see that a new folder was created, and in this folder we have the scripts folder, and in the scripts folder we have activate.bat. This is the script we need to run to activate our virtual environment. So in the djenv folder, in the scripts folder, let's run activate.bat. And our virtual environment was activated, which is indicated by the name of the virtual environment in the beginning of the prompt. In this virtual environment, we're going to use pip to install Django. So pip install Django. Now I'm going to expand the lib folder and the scripts folder. And I want you to notice what happens in these folders while Django is being installed. So Django was installed, and we can see that we now have several new files and folders in our djenv folder. That's because Django was not installed globally, but only within our virtual environment. Now that we have Django installed, we can use the Django admin tool. And we can see that Django admin has all kinds of commands, and among them we have the start project command. So let's use this sub command to create a new Django project. And I want to call my Django application Django app. And I want it to be created inside this folder. So the root folder of the new application will be this folder. We do that by adding a dot. And when we run this command, we can see that a new folder was created for our new application, and we also have a new file called manage.py. So all in all, we now have 3 files and folders in the root folder of our project. We have the folder for our virtual environment, we have the folder for our Django application, and we also have manage.py. To start the development server, we're going to use this file, manage.py. So Python, and then manage.py, and then we need to specify that we want to start the development server, which is done by the command run server. And we get a message saying starting development server at this link. So let's press on Ctrl and click on the link to follow it. And we can see that a new Django application is up and running.